What is up? Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. It is Christmas Eve, but it is also week 17, meaning it is the fantasy championship. And holidays be damned. We're not going to leave you guys hanging. We rode with us this far. We've gotten you this far. It's time to win this thing. And that's what tonight is all about. Hopefully it's been a great season. Hopefully week 17 matters. And hopefully we get you the right picks tonight. Let's get into it. What is up? Welcome to No Punt Intended, presented by Club Fantasy. I am your host, Ryan Weiss. Joe Zola takes the holidays off, but me and the Grinch could not leave you hanging when it matters this much. Josh Hudson, how you doing tonight, my friend?
Oh, just a Christmas Eve, talking football, helping people set winning championship lineups.
I just love the contrast.
Can't be any better.
Christmas tree. I got my favorite Christmas shirt ever on. I can't really show it to you, but it has Tupac on it. It says, "Ain't nothing but a Christmas party."
There you go.
And Josh has the Grinch. And that is just
about the most festive I get during Christmas.
The encapsulation of how this show views these holidays. And Joe taking time off with family, as he should be. Welcome to the chat. You guys already got it popping off. It's week 17. It's championship week. We need to get into this show because the fact of the matter is you guys are here to celebrate with us, obviously, but we really want to celebrate your championships. First and foremost, if you're not already, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. What are we, Josh? A follower away from at 1800?
4 short.
Still 4 short. I know. Hood Claus. I've never seen your name before. Evening. Happy holidays. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, you're the first person I'm putting up on my screen. I'm calling you out. Hopefully you're already subscribed. If you're not, please do. We're really nice. We're funny. We got a lot of people to the championship. That's what it's all about. If you happen to be listening on Apple or Spotify, go ahead and hit that follow button. If you've never tuned into Club Fantasy before, every single Wednesday, though we are taking next Wednesday off, every single Wednesday at 9 o'clock, we are here for you. But if you want to talk fantasy football after this show is over, we also have a completely free Discord. Josh is dropping the link for you. It's also in the description of this video. We talk fantasy 365 days a year. It's not just Josh and myself. Every member of Club Fantasy is in there, having a good time. Josh, let's kick this show off with news and notes, and then we're going to get right into the chat because they are already got plenty of questions for us. Josh, the surprise tweet of the day, if you will, I guess it wasn't a tweet. Brock Bowers goes to the IR, ending his season. Obviously, the Raiders didn't have a lot to play for, but I know I'm in a championship with Brock Bowers, and I know you're facing somebody in a championship with Brock Bowers. So very, very interesting. Marcus Mariota has been ruled out for tomorrow. Washington will be starting Josh Johnson, who has been around the league forever at quarterback. Lamar Jackson is dealing with a back contusion, did not practice on Wednesday. Chiefs have now placed Trent McDuffie, Rashee Rice, and Tyquan Thornton on the IR, ending their seasons. I told you this was going to happen. J.J. McCarthy is dealing with a hairline fracture in his hand. Jordan Mason is dealing with an ankle injury, and T.J. Hawkinson a shoulder injury. They have all been ruled out tomorrow. That means Max Brosmer will be starting for the Minnesota Vikings. Amon-Ra St. Brown is dealing with a knee injury. David Montgomery, an illness. They are both questionable for tomorrow. This slate is getting uglier by the minute. George Kittle did not practice today after that ankle injury on Monday Night Football. And A.J. Brown had his wisdom teeth pulled, did not practice today. Josh, let's start with Bowers. The good news is, and we've been saying this for weeks, tight end has been kind of a gold mine on waivers, and there are options in my one league where I lost Bowers. I was immediately able to go sign Brenton Strange. So
I was going to say there's been some guys that are performing like top 6, 7, 8 tight ends that aren't there for a full season. So they're just chilling on waivers because people treat the position very similar to kickers. Yep. They just set it and forget it, and then forget that their guy that they set it is sucking right now.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Riding Hunter Henry the whole season when he hasn't done anything in weeks.
Exactly. When he has 4 pop games a year. That's it, right?
Yep.
So there's definitely some guys out there that you can grab. Unfortunately, in a dynasty league, for instance, not so much. But I do want to point out, Ryan, this is why trade deadlines in dynasty should be abolished, because I'm in a league with one of our writers, Chris Molina. He made it to the championship. I got knocked out last week. I have Trey McBride. He has Brock Bowers. So what did we do? We swapped elite tight ends, and I got a little sweetener because I took on the injured guy. Hurts nobody, in my opinion, because you're still getting a great tight end one way or the other.
Sure. Or, you could play in the championship with the team that got you there.
But the team that got him there isn't healthy right now because Brock Bowers is out because his team sucks.
So should the Chiefs have just traded Patrick Mahomes for Josh Allen and gave him a little sweetener last week so they could have made the playoffs?
Except the Bills are still competing. It doesn't matter. And let's be honest, a lot of times good quarterbacks in the NFL aren't on good.
We're never going to be on the same page of this, plain and simple, Josh. From what you've seen, Lamar Jackson, is this a serious injury? Is he going to miss this game, you think?
It really would not surprise me, honestly. The way that the team seems to be overly protective, he is their star, but they need this win. And the Steelers play Sunday. So they're not going to know going into this game whether or not they can even make it into the playoffs. Now, this Sunday night game, the Ravens at the Packers, might feature backups on both sides.
Yeah.
Because Jordan Love is dealing with his injury from last week, the concussion. So there's a chance that Malik Willis gets a start, who, by the way, hurt a shoulder in that game. They could be on their backup or third string, and then we might be getting Snoop Huntley for the Ravens. So we're just at a down time right now for the fantasy playoffs.
I was going to say,
you're going to see a lot of names in your potential championship winning lineup that you're just like, what in God's name happened this season?
My point exactly is, for this to happen in week 17, like, already get nervous about teams potentially sitting players early, but now it's just injuries. And Josh, our hilarious kind of running gag of how weirdly teams have used the IR this season, and now just everyone's going to IR. Like, yep, you're done. We're putting you here. So I'm real interested to see how week 17 plays out. I'm only in 2 championships myself, and I don't say only, like, I'm happy to be in 2 championships. Thankfully, only one of them is dealing with the Brock Bowers injury, but all in all, not great. I do want to just quickly touch on, Josh. We did a Christmas DFS special. It's live on the website right now. It's pulling great numbers. If you guys want to get a little bit of our thoughts on the main slate, Austin and myself. But Josh, seeing all these injuries, and we recorded the show on Monday, and none of these injuries had really popped. I'm getting really nervous that we are about to see some of the worst football we've seen in prime time in a very long time over the next 24 hours.
Well, you have potentially, first off, you have 3 backup quarterbacks going.
Yeah.
All 3, if I'm not mistaken, are third stringers.
Yes.
Josh Johnson with Washington, Brosmer with Minnesota, and I'm blanking on the other one.
Olajuwon from Kansas City.
Kansas City, correct. Yeah. All 3 are third string quarterbacks.
Yeah.
That's going to lend itself to a lot of bad offenses, plain and simple. So don't be surprised if you see a lot of unders on passing yards from these guys.
Yeah.
Which part of that's going to come up a little bit later when we get to our underdog picks.
I'm going to put you on the spot, Josh, because I haven't looked at our picks or anything yet. Are we concerned? I've been dealing with this myself. So I always joke we do these shows for me to get better at fantasy football. Are we concerned Dallas sits anybody? This is a meaningless game for them, and they're playing a bunch of bums for Washington. My only thought here is they're the Netflix game. It's prime time. Jerry Jones wants to put his best foot forward. So
yeah, I'm not worried about Dallas. I think that Jerry Jones, first off, has too much pride. Brian Schottenheimer, kind of the way that he coaches, he's in it to win it. He still feels like he has something to prove, given that, he didn't get his first head coaching opportunity till he was 51, 52, 53, however old he is now. Yeah. His father's legacy as one of the all-time head coaches. So I think there's still a lot there. I mean, Pickens is still, playing. He wants that $30 million a year wide receiver money contract. Javonte Williams only signed a 1-year deal. He's had a kind of a middling stretch of the season so far. So I think there's still a lot of incentive for this team. And quite honestly, this defense needs to get better. And the only way that's going to translate into 2026 is if they build some level of cohesion, getting a lot of these new pieces continually playing together.
There you go. I'm going to quickly, we're going to get to the chat, but I quickly just want to go through and show some love to the folks who have been riding with us all season. Jeff Rogers, happy holidays, my friend. Merry Christmas. Stephen George, thanks for tuning in. Hood Claus, I'm sure it's not Claus, but like Santa Claus. He said he was already subscribed. We already got you up. But evening, welcome. There was one more person I haven't seen in a while. Jorge Edwards.
Happy holidays, buddy.
My guy from Fantasy and Frames, and then Caesar. Cheers, my friend. Glad to see you folks. Josh, let's get to the actual questions now. But I do want to say what I've been saying for the last week. We appreciate each and every one of you folks for tuning in. The show is very boring if we don't have a chat. We have slimmed our show sheet down so that you guys could expand. So this show and Club Fantasy in general has always kind of been all about the live experience, and we hope you're enjoying it as much as we are. Frosty got in here early. Merry Christmas to all. And hopefully to all a good week 17. Needs one running back and 2 flex spots. Ramondre Stevenson. Let's start with the running backs, Josh. Ramondre Stevenson, Woody Marks, Emmanuel Wilson, assuming Josh Jacobs is out. I know you were not a fan earlier in the week, but I hate Woody Marks. I think we had this question earlier and we both went Ramondre anyway. Yeah. Of this bunch, Josh, it's Ramondre Stevenson to me, and it's not even close. I actually almost picked him as my 2-touchdown special.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, it's the best matchup. Jets are tied for the most running back points per game allowed over the last 4 weeks. This is easily Ramondre.
I didn't realize this is still the same group we're picking his flex from, because he needs 2 flex. And he brings up that he doesn't necessarily love going London and Pitts. Out of this group, Josh, I think you have to. So I think Pitts is the must start. And then you go Woody if he's healthy, or I guess you go Wilson if Jacobs is out, Woody if Jacobs is in.
Yeah, that's essentially how I would do it.
Yeah, best of luck to you, Frosty. So to slim this down, the one decision you're caring about right now is whether or not Josh Jacobs is playing. If Jacobs is playing, you're going to lean Woody Marks. The issue is, Josh, that's a Saturday night game, and then Woody is on Sunday, right? So he would actually...
No, Woody is 4:30 on Saturday.
Oh, okay.
Jacobs is the Saturday night game.
Well, you should know earlier in that day. This is tough, Frosty.
Chargers run defense is legit. I don't trust Woody
Emmanuel
Marks.
Wilson went for 82 yards last week in a split time. I think you go Emmanuel Wilson regardless. Woody Marks is dealing with that injury, and he has a tough...
I was going to say, with Jacobs, he's going to try to fight through it. What's to say there's not a situation like last week where he tries to go
and then can't,
and then they just try to work a 50-50 split anyway just to protect Jacobs from himself.
Yep. So there you go.
Wilson, so.
Yeah, you're benching Woody is what it really comes down to. So benching Woody Marks, that's the way you're playing it. Jeff, Parkinson, Strange, Hill or Hill at tight end, and then Dart or Shuck at quarterback. Preview of the stream of the week to come. The answer is Tyler Shuck and Brenton Strange. And I will also mention that Colby Parkinson will never see a lineup of mine ever again. He didn't even make the stream of the week top 5.
He phoned it in one time and you said, fuck that guy.
Right there. Merry Christmas, Colby Parkinson. He didn't even cost me a matchup. I'm just embarrassed. Like, I didn't start Colby Parkinson. I had Brenton Strange.
I started Parkinson in 1, and luckily it didn't impact the overall decision much, but it was definitely painful to watch, especially because I had Strange on my bench. So.
Yeah, he made me look like an asshole, plain and simple.
No, it's definitely Strange at tight end for me. I like Shuck this week.
You were so in on the Giants.
I like Shuck this week. But dude, it's the fucking Raiders. Like, how can you not want to start Jackson Dart? Like, this dude, like, he ripped up Washington. They're a bad defense. The Raiders are a bad defense. I get it. The Giants are trying to protect Jackson Dart. There's no reason to protect him against the fucking Raiders.
Yeah.
None. It is Jackson Dart for me. I'm sorry. Against these two, like,
I get it.
These are both like low-end QB1s for me this week. That's really the way that I look at it.
And that even Shuck as my stream of the week is still coming in as a low-end QB1. I just have in my head. Josh, this is the kind of questions where it's tough because this should be Terry McLaurin through and through. Jalen Coker is a big play, and that's it. But now you have Josh Johnson. But here's the thing. Josh Johnson is a veteran. If Terry McLaurin's playing, I'm believing Josh Johnson's going to get him the ball. I'm probably going Terry McLaurin as long as I know he's active.
So spoiler alert for my downsides. Terry McLaurin, I don't like him this week, especially where consensus is ranking him as the wide receiver 16. But look, Josh Johnson hasn't actually started a game since 2021. And he hasn't really been that good.
Oh, he's never been good.
2 of those games in 2021. He did throw for over 300 yards. But in spot duty since 2022, the dude averages 5 yards per pass attempt, has 0 touchdowns and 1 interception. I'm still don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm still going Terry McLaurin over Jalen Coker. Just lower your expectations here.
That's fair. Frosty with the question of the week. I have a feeling we're going to see this quite a bit, Josh. Is it Brock Purdy or is it Jacoby Brissett? And after weeks of conducting the Jacoby Brissett train, one bad game is not making me turn off to him, but you cannot ignore how good Brock Purdy is, Josh. I think we should probably just put the questions on hold and get into Man of the Hour.
I was just about to say, there's a reason Brock Purdy's on the thumbnail, folks.
Yeah, so give us a second. We'll get right back into the chat. Let's dive into that. Smash play of the week, as chosen by yours truly, is Brock Purdy. And I basically came to Josh and I said, I didn't say all this to Josh. He's going to be hearing some of this for the first time. When I look at the top running backs and the top wide receivers and the top tight ends, I can find flaws. I was considering telling him, let's go with Trey McBride, but there are 2 players I am well above the consensus this week. One of them is Trevor Lawrence, but he was the thumbnail of every one of our videos this week. So we decided to pivot. The other is Brock Purdy at home taking on the Chicago Bears. Purdy has 8 touchdowns over his last 2 games. He was the QB2 last week, and that's only because Trevor Lawrence went off yet again. Chicago is not playing great defense right now. And Purdy even had a rushing touchdown 3 weeks ago. He's getting it done a lot of different ways. This is an important game for San Francisco. They can start to lock things up. Plus, it's a home game. Saw a really interesting stat today that if the 49ers win their last 2 games, both at home, they will only play at home from now on, including the Super Bowl if they make it, which is in their stadium. So very interesting schedule for the 49ers to finish up the season. The Bears are giving up the 12th most fantasy points to quarterbacks on the season. And before they faced Cleveland and an injured Jordan Love over the last 2 weeks, they were actually giving up the 9th most. If you take those 2 kind of fluky games out, the Bears were giving up a ton of points. With the 49ers at home, I think they're going to take full advantage of a defense that is allowing 250 yards per week. The yards are going to be there for Purdy, and Josh, he's finding the end zone at an amazing clip right now. I'm not even worried if George Kittle is out. I think we see 250 and 3 touchdowns from Brock Purdy this week.
I was going to say, I hate to say it because, fuck the 49ers. This offense is getting hot at the right time.
Yep.
And this is the type of streak that gets momentum and goes right into the Super Bowl. So, Brock Purdy's healthy. Obviously Mac Jones kept him afloat, and there was a lot of talk that, maybe Jones over Purdy, whatever. There's a reason they paid Purdy. He operates his Kyle Shanahan offense with perfection, and the Colts did not stand a chance. I saw something on the broadcast that they hadn't punted since November.
Yeah, did you see where the punter was looking all, and he was all bored on the sideline, just practicing his holding and everything?
Yeah, I'm like, dude, if I'm Brock Purdy, I'm like, bro, why are you stealing money, man? What's going on here?
No, they're playing great football right now, playing in
They really are. And honestly, if not for CMC, I don't know where this team would be right now. But Brock Purdy is helping his case for, he's earning his paycheck. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. So, yeah. We like Brock Purdy a lot, and I do like him far more than Jacoby Brissett this week. And then, Josh, game of the week. I think there's a lot of interesting things going on with your Philadelphia Eagles this week. So.
Yeah, it's the Eagles at the Bills. I'm absolutely loving this. The last 2 times these two teams played, the final score was an overtime thriller that ended 37-34 with an Eagles victory. Josh Allen in that game had 420 total yards and 4 touchdowns. Jalen Hurts had 265 total yards and 5 touchdowns, including the game-winning rushing touchdown in overtime. I understand that was then. This is now. The Eagles have the NFC secured, or the NFC East secured, but they're still playing for seeding. They could, by some miracle stretch, they could end up with the 1 seed. They could also end up with the 2 seed here. The Bills, they still have a sliver of a chance to get that, or the AFC East title. And if they don't, guess what? They're on the road in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's probably
without Patrick Mahomes, without Joe Burrow, potentially without Lamar Jackson. This might be Josh Allen's best chance to make it to a Super Bowl as the AFC representative. You can't tell me that that's not on Josh Allen's mind heading into this game, especially with how good this Eagles defense is. And it takes a really good defense to stop and slow down Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Granted, they don't have very good pass catchers, but they've been getting their tight ends very heavily involved. James Cook is the leading rusher in the NFL. You heard that correctly. Not Jonathan Taylor. Yep. James Cook is the leading rusher in the NFL. Saquon Barkley just secured another 1,000-yard season. Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown, both of them have an opportunity to cross 1,000 receiving yards this week as well as this season. There are good players on both sides of this ball. Defense may not fucking matter in this game. And I said it the last time, 2 weeks ago when I was doing this, defense did not play a part. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at, do I start an Eagle? Do I start a Bill? Yes, that's the answer. Mind you, the Philadelphia Eagles are the only team in the NFL outside of the Buffalo Bills that Josh Allen has not beat yet in his career. There's a lot on the line here.
I am really feeling bad about my downside after all of this talk. I just want to throw Jamie up on the screen real quick. Jamie says, do I see the Grinch? What's up with the green hat? Yes, Josh.
It's the Grinch, baby.
Is in fact the Grinch.
It's my Grinch Santa hat, as you can kind of see with the bobble. Yeah.
But he likes the Christmas tree. But way more importantly, Jamie understands. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button, folks. We'd very much appreciate it. But yeah, Josh, we'll talk a little bit more about Josh Allen later. I don't know if maybe I'm preemptively jumping the gun. Let's get back to the chat. Frosty, who is the Browns running back to get, and are they worth a plug and play? Josh, I think you've said this best on Tuesday, so I'm just going to let you jump in here on why you believe it might be Dylan Sampson.
Yeah, if Dylan Sampson plays, and we need to preface this because he's missed the last 2 games. I believe it's hand and shoulder injuries or something along those lines. But if he's able to play, the Steelers are most vulnerable to running backs out of the backfield. And that's been kind of the role that the Browns have used Dylan Sampson in. Rocket Sanders, Raheem Sanders, whatever you want to call him, coming in is likely going to take over that early down role that Quinshon Judkins was mainly in. We didn't see a lot of pass catching prowess from Quinshon Judkins. So that's really how I would prioritize this. Go get Sampson. Browns are not good. Plain and simple. Yeah. The Steelers, they're trying to lock up this division, and 1 win gets that done. Yeah. So I don't see a reason why Shedeur Sanders, isn't going to throw the football more. That's like, they're not going to be able to run very well. The Steelers handle running backs very well. Again, it's just they're susceptible out of the backfield. And I think if there is a way that a Browns running back finishes as a top 24, top 20 option, it's going to be due to pass catching.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. The second part of this question is are they worth a plug and play? Frosty, you'll have to let us know who your options are.
And that's really what it boils down to.
If it's that previous group, Frosty was the one with the tough question there, Josh. Would we go, let's assume Josh Jacobs plays, would we go Dylan Sampson over Emmanuel Wilson?
No.
Okay.
I know it's still a tough matchup. The Ravens defense has played really well. I'm going to lean on the better player. Yep. In my opinion.
And speaking of Emmanuel Wilson, let's assume Josh Jacobs is out. Emmanuel Wilson or Michael Carter. If Jacobs is out, to me, this is Emmanuel Wilson. We've seen it time and time again. He knows this offense. He's very well versed in this offense. If Jacobs is in, I know you're not as big on Michael Carter as I am this week, but I would go with Carter. So
I'm in on Wilson.
Yeah, I think Wilson is probably the right call. And then Frosty was actually chiming in that Jacobs just needs to rest, and he believes Jordan Love is going to play. The only problem with that is it's a concussion. Jordan Love has no say in the matter. So, correct. Kicker question. Boswell, Pinheiro, McPherson, or Mavis? Mevis. I actually don't know how to pronounce that human being's name.
Kicker. Mevis.
Yes. He is indoors, which makes him interesting. It's Pinheiro or Mevis to me. Though I guess McPherson.
I was going to say McPherson. Who's slowing down that Bengals?
Yeah, it's McPherson because they're indoors in Arizona. It's McPherson.
Yeah, it's McPherson.
Very few questions. Plus, then Eddie Pinheiro doesn't miss a 64-yarder and get you kicked out of the playoffs. Defense question. Steelers or Lions? And Josh, we actually got a very similar to this exact same question in the Discord today. And Max Brosmer being the starting quarterback here is all I needed to hear. I like the Steelers this week. I'm going with the Lions to pick on Max Brosmer.
Yeah, I mean, look, Steelers are picking on Shedeur Sanders. Lions are picking on Max Brosmer. I don't think there's a wrong answer here. You're going to get a lot of good fantasy defensive performances this week because you have a lot of backups and third stringers that are starting for NFL teams, which is not.
And to Josh's point, they are next to each other in my rankings.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, at the end of the day, which pass rush do you trust more? Maybe the Steelers get TJ Watt back, but I do know Aiden Hutchinson is healthy. So,
yep, exactly. Drone, happy holidays, my friend. Welcome. Bo Nix or Tyler Shuck, Josh? He would be stacking. It's a triple Saint stack if he goes with Tyler Shuck with Olave and Juwan Johnson.
Yeah, I think Trone asked us this. I don't know if it was Monday or maybe it was Tuesday on the waiver.
I'm still going with Nix. I brought up that Sean Payton is going to want to bully Kansas City after what he's faced in this division for so long. I think Nix could have a game by halftime of this game.
I was going to say, I saw somebody, they were tweeting out like some of their favorite bets for this week, and they were all on the over on Denver's implied point total, which I think was like 23.5.
Yeah.
Sean Payton's going to run up that fucking score. He's
100%.
not going to matter. He is that petty. He wants to put a dagger in the Chiefs and say, we're here now, motherfuckers. Like,
yep.
I am all in on Knicks. Don't get me wrong. I like Shuck this week. I'm very in on that Saints team against Tennessee.
Yeah.
But I don't trust, like, triple stacks I don't love in redraft for starters.
No.
And I certainly don't love it with not what I would call an elite offense.
Yeah.
So it's Bo Nix for me.
I agree. Andrea, Merry Christmas. Thanks for tuning in. Eric Burnett, new name. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, we'd very much appreciate it. We are 4 away from 1,800. If you have, we very much appreciate it. Tyler Warren.
Live updates, baby.
Tyler Warren versus Taysom Hill. And Josh, we've spent a lot of time talking about this Taysom Hill thing. He did make my stream of the week list. I put him at 5. But the fact of the matter is this. I think what we saw last week was sort of a Taysom Hill ode to New Orleans. Now they travel to Tennessee. I don't love Tyler Warren this week, but I still like him better than Taysom Hill.
Yeah, this is Tyler Warren for me. I think he's the safest player out of this group. Jacksonville has been pretty solid against tight ends. On average, it's about 10 fantasy points per game over the last 4. We saw Phillip Rivers look a lot more comfortable. He's a lot more willing to sling it. I mean, he jumped from 120 passing yards to 270. So, like, I'm not worried about Tyler Warren in that instance. If he can get me 10, I'll take it.
Yeah. Hood Claws. Start Seattle, Saints, or the Giants. Any advice is appreciated. Side note, his opponent has the Lions. Now, Josh, you have been in on this Giants defense, and I'll give you a chance to plead your case. I am just going to say what I always say. I'm going to start the defense that's been carrying you. Carolina is not a great matchup. They're still certainly not a bad matchup. The Seattle Seahawks are still a top 5 defense for me this week, and that's where I'm going with this.
Yeah, I'm going Seattle as well. I do love the Giants, and I think that is a prime spot for turnovers, for sacks. That Raiders team is so incredibly beat up. But I say this all the time. When you have a good defense, don't get enamored with the fact that a bad defense has a good matchup.
That's a better matchup. Yep.
You know,
absolutely.
it's like the Carolina Panthers aren't an offense that traditionally is going to score 40 plus, 30 plus even, right? Bryce Young makes mistakes. Seattle has the ability to create turnovers. They have the ability to get sacks.
Absolutely.
And the Panthers don't utilize their tight end enough to take advantage of the biggest weakness in Seattle secondary.
Yeah, and who is their tight end? They seem to be splitting time between JT Sanders and Tommy Tremble. So,
yep.
Trone struggling with his flex decision. I think this decision got made for him earlier today. Kenny Gainwell, Jalen Warren, Devonta Smith, Terry McLaurin, or Deebo Samuel, noting that neither of them have Marcus Mariota. To me, Josh, this is Kenny Gainwell. Jalen Warren pops up on the injury list. Not the worst thing in the world, but just more facts that the Steelers are going to be leaning on Kenny Gainwell this week.
It's one of the Steelers running backs playing. I love Devonta Smith this week. I think he's going to do great. I don't think there's a wrong answer with either of those Steelers running backs, truthfully.
There you go.
But it's PPR. Take the guy that is typically catching passes in that offense, and right now that's Kenny Gainwell.
So wild that we thought Jalen Warren had that role on lock, and the Steelers are like, watch this. We're just
well, again, and this is what we talked about in the offseason. We just assumed that it would be Caleb Johnson in that first, second down role and Jalen Warren. Well, everybody moved up a peg, and then Caleb Johnson tumbled to the bottom of the depth chart.
To the very bottom of the depth chart.
Warren now takes the early down role, and they just said, well, we don't need you as a pass catcher. So,
yep. Woods Girl, Merry Christmas. Thanks for tuning in. Half PPR, need to pick 2 starting wide receivers, Josh. Mike Evans, Drake London, Jawan Jennings. I said this last week. I kind of regretted starting Drake London last week. I think we've seen the history of this PCL injury. If I have these types of options, I'm not saying Drake London is a full-out bench this week. If I have Mike Evans and Jawan Jennings, I'm benching Drake London.
I am as well. It's Jennings and Evans for me.
There you go. Andrea with a tight end question. Brenton Strange, AJ Barner, Jake Tongas, assuming Kittle is out. I don't know if Kittle's going to be out, but even if Kittle is out, Josh, to me, this is Brenton Strange once again, who is my stream of the week at tight end. So.
Yep. Now, if you're asking me if it's Kittle because you have him as well, or Strange,
it's Kittle.
It's Kittle. But in this instance, it's Brenton Strange.
Yeah. Brandon Aiken. Think you're a new name. Please hit that subscribe button. 3 away from 1,800. We'd very much appreciate it. Mike Evans or Drake London. We kind of just touched on this in the previous question. I have a history of staying as far away from injured players as I can. Drake London kind of showed that last week. There's a history with this PCL injury that we saw with Brock Bowers and a wide receiver on blank. Was it Ricky Pearsall, where they came back and they could not recover from this injury? I'm not saying Drake London's in that bad a shape. I'm just saying if you have a better option, Mike Evans, you play that better option.
Correct. It's Mike Evans, especially against Miami. Let's be honest here.
Oh, and then I starred one that was just someone answering for the chat, so we're good there. Full PPR, Mike Gesicki, Colby Parkinson. It's never Colby Parkinson. Or Aronde Gadsden. Josh, I'm coming back around to Aronde Gadsden, and it is a good matchup. It's a good matchup for he and Gesicki. I just find Gadsden to be a little bit more trustworthy, and they seem to be getting him more involved now that he's like the Chargers offense is taking a little bit of time to get their feet back under them. And now that they have, Gadsden's been more involved. So,
well, and I think part of it too, is when they acquired Trevor Penning at the deadline.
Yeah.
And, it's not every day that just going way off positions. Offensive lineman can just slot right in and get comfortable. Like, it's very much a rhythm, a feel for, gelling with your cohorts there. I think he's finally starting to make his way here in this rotation. And that's what's really helped open up the offense a little bit more. Not saying that Trevor Penning is like great, but he's better than a standard backup.
He got that bonehead penalty, almost cost him last week.
Yeah, exactly. I personally would go Gesicki. I just think it's a much better play. There's not going to be a whole lot of defense in that game. And I think that you've got a game with the Texans and the Chargers. Both defenses are looking really good these days.
I'd rather struggled against tight ends. I'm just saying
they have and I'm not disagreeing with you at all.
Yeah, but you're right. It's a great matchup for Gesicki, and I said this on our waiver show. This seems like the kind of week where Mike Gesicki is going to pop when nobody's expecting it to happen. I am still going to go Aronde Gadsden, and Josh says Mike Gesicki. Back to Brandon, who is asking about Brandon Omri or Kaimi Fairbairn, and I get why these are 2 of the best 3 kickers in fantasy right now. I notoriously will not ever choose another kicker over Brandon Aubrey. He is pinned to my number 1 kicker. He's long, he's accurate, and this week they get a game against Washington, Josh, where Washington is going to play no defense. I'm going Brandon Aubrey.
That's the only reason why I would be willing to fade Aubrey in this matchup, because I think they're going to score more touchdowns than field goals. And the Houston Texans have arguably the worst red zone offense, and they settle for a ton of field goals.
That's a good point.
I'm willing to go with Fairbairn here.
If Woody Marks is out, that actually becomes way more interesting.
Well, and he's not even good in the red zone. So
that's true. They have no red zone, but yeah.
Yeah.
And then on the defensive side of the ball, are we sticking with the studs that got us there? Houston, though the Patriots have not been a bad defense, Josh, I will say because of matchups, I bumped Houston all the way down to defense 10 against Justin Herbert. Now the Chargers have been a decent matchup for defenses all season long. That might be a little bit of an overreaction, but the Patriots are playing the Jets. Even if I move the Texans back up, I'm not moving them ahead of the Patriots.
Patriots play a 3rd-string quarterback. It's the Patriots.
Yeah, that's a good point as well.
Again, they're actually a good defense.
Yeah.
And that's where they differ from, say, like, a Giants against the Raiders, right? Like, the Giants have a good front four, not much anything else. That's why they're a bottom tier fantasy defense, because even when they're getting sacks, they're not doing much else.
Yep.
Patriots are doing all of it. And against, again, a third string quarterback, you roll with the Patriots.
Let's go ahead and put the chat on hold. We will come right back to you, folks. I will do a quick reminder. If you like what you're hearing, hit that like button. If you want to hear it again next week, hit that subscribe button. We are taking next week off. However, our DFS shows and all that will still be available on Club Fantasy FFL on the YouTube channel. If you happen to be listening on Apple or Spotify, hit that follow button. We very much appreciate it. We do this show for you folks. Show us a little bit of support. We also have a completely free Discord if you guys want to jump in after the show is over. Josh is dropping the link for you right now. We do fantasy football talk and even fantasy baseball talk and all that stuff in the Discord 365 days a year. If you've never tuned into an episode of Club Fantasy, I feel like there's a lot of you out there right now. We do our weekly preview in the form of upside and downside, where the upside, we each make 2 bold predictions. The downside, we each make 2 bold predictions. The upside is whether we think they're going to be good. The downside is if we think they're going to be bad. Josh, let's kick this thing off with our upside picks. You have 2 of them. One for Chase Brown, finishing as a top 5 running back this week. The other for Javonte Williams, finishing as a top 10 running back this week. Have at it, my friend.
Yeah, since we don't have Joe, I'll go through and I'll read notes for both of them. So,
hey,
love Chase Brown this week. Look, Arizona tied for the most fantasy points per game allowed to the running back position since week 12. Over that span, they're allowing on average 143 rushing yards per game and 1 rushing touchdown per game. They also allow 5 catches for 46 yards, again, over this 4-game span. Over this same 4 games, Chase Brown is the RB4 in fantasy football.
Wow.
Why Fantasy Pros consensus has him at 8 in a cake matchup, I have no clue. It's wild to me. Over these 4 games, he has scored 5 touchdowns, has 23 catches for 150 yards and 3 receiving touchdowns, and is also averaging 4.6 yards per carry. I fully expect this game to be something of a shootout because neither of these defenses are all that good. Absolutely. Brown, to me, is a bona fide stud top 5 running back this week. And right now, what we're seeing in fantasy football, running backs are putting up points, not the wide receiver position. So that's why I went with another running back for you this week.
Doubled up.
Javonte Williams, top 10 at Washington. Consensus rankings on Fantasy Pros has him as RB16. Since week 12, Washington is allowing the 6th most fantasy points per game to the running back position.
Yeah.
And since week 12, they have given up 6 rushing touchdowns. On this season, Javonte Williams has 10. He has 12 total. Since week 10, Washington has allowed over 19 fantasy points to 5 different running backs. Now, Williams started off hot. He was the RB5 from weeks 1 through 8. Since week 11, he is cooled. He's now the RB17, but the RB20 in points per game. And I say all this, as I mentioned earlier, Dallas has plenty to play for, or at least the Dallas players do. Javonte Williams does not have a contract next year. He only signed for $2.5 million this year because of the drastic knee injuries that he had the over the 4 years that he was in Denver. He lost a lot of his form. He's taken shape and bounced back big time and actually looks like the running back that was drafted out of North Carolina.
For sure.
He wants to put up good numbers over these next 2 games because that's what's going to get him not only a better contract next year, but potentially a multi-year contract. And that's important to players.
And if he plays hard for Dallas, it's very likely that contract is with Dallas, and he has to think about that. So, I like that. I'm going to quickly, before I get into mine, I have not seen Elixir's name in so long. Happy holidays, Elixirs. Glad to see you back in the chat, my friend. Josh, I went with wide receiver for my first pick. That's going to be Mike Evans as a top 10 wide receiver this week. And for my 2 touchdown special, which did not hit last week because a backup running back vultured me again when I picked Saquon Barkley. Barkley had 1. I'm going with Kenneth Gainwell against Cleveland, and we've already kind of talked about this. I did want to quickly throw some ideas I had. Some ideas I actually bet. I wanted to say that the Steelers running backs are going to combine for 3 touchdowns, but then I saw the Jaylen Warren news. I went in, Josh, and I parlayed Jaylen Warren with 1 touchdown and Kenny Gainwell with 2, and then Jaylen Warren with 2 and Kenny Gainwell with 1. And for each one of those parlays, $2 turns into $100. So I'm not like mad I put him in there, but
damn.
Hopefully Warren's better than what it seems like. I do think Kenny Gainwell very likely with DK Metcalf off. Jalen Warren not at 100%. Kenny Gainwell might be this entire offense. But I really want to talk to you about Mike Evans because he's my favorite player ever. Wide receiver 11 in week 15, wide receiver 23 last week. He's been heavily targeted in both games. But what I like is he had a 100-yard game once. He scored a touchdown in the other game. Now we just need to combine those two things, and I don't know that there's a better defense to try to do that against than Miami. They are struggling against wide receivers over the last few weeks. They've actually given up 3 wide receiver touchdowns in the last 2 games. Jamar Chase beat them for 100 yards last week. Of course, T. Higgins found the end zone. So that's always the worry. I'm just hoping it seems like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers want Mike Evans to be a big part of this offense. We've seen that target-wise. I just need to see him get the two things together. And Josh, I think we see it this week. I think he has a monster game against Miami as he possibly looks to wrap up his career. I'm just speculating there. So
I love me some Mike Evans this week. Like if there's ever a game for Baker Mayfield to bounce back, it's this week against Miami.
There you go. You know what? Let's jump into the chat. They've been waiting a while. Show's flowing well. This is an interesting question by Frosty. If Burden plays, where do you rank him? And Josh, San Francisco has not nor ever really been great against wide receivers. So you're hoping Chicago can keep this a game, but there's so many other factors that play in here. Does Roma Dunze play? What's the weather looking like, though? It should be fine in San Francisco. And then again, is the game a blowout? Are we going to see a lot of garbage time? Right now, I don't even have Luther Burden in my top 50, but again, he still has the questionable tag. Josh, I would say if he plays, I'm probably moving him into my top 40 and he's in the wide receiver 3 conversation.
Yeah, that's kind of where I would put him, is probably between like 30 and 36. He's been seeing targets when he's there. I feel like over the last month when he's been active, he's been the guy that they've kind of run the offense through, at least in the first half.
Yeah.
While they look to build a lead and then pound the rock with the running backs and let the games kind of finish out with them. Obviously that had to flip the script a little bit this past week when both him and Roma Dunze were out. They struggled in the first half.
They did terribly.
They struggled in the first 3 quarters. So maybe Luther Burden is the key to unlocking this offense and we just haven't figured it out yet. So that's kind of where I would put him because outside of like the one big touchdown that he had earlier in the season, he hasn't really been utilized much in terms of scoring. It's been targets, receptions, yards. Like it hasn't been much else than that. So it'd be really hard for me to be like, yeah, he's a bona fide top 2 guy when I don't think he has the kind of touchdown upside that other wide receiver 2 pluses have.
Yeah. I'm with you. Zach. Waller, Juwan Johnson, AJ Barner, Taysom Hill, or Dalton Schultz. And Merry Christmas to you as well, Zach. We appreciate you. Josh, this is Juwan Johnson to me. Waller may have some upside, but he should have popped last week and didn't. Juwan Johnson is a key cog in this offense with a quarterback I like a lot this week. So.
Yeah, I would rank him Juwan Johnson, Dalton Schultz, Darren Waller, AJ Barner, and then Taysom Hill.
Yeah, I don't have Taysom Hill. I'm not like punting Taysom Hill off of a cliff, but I am starting the like bona fide tight ends over him with no problem. Andrea's looking at wide receiver, Chris Godwin, Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce. Josh, a huge part of this question is who is playing quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts, because we saw Alec Pierce kind of go off with good Phillip Rivers, but they're also taking on Jacksonville, which is a problem. That kind of lends itself to this just being Chris Godwin. So
could be, yeah. But I also think the same issues that Pittman and Pierce have, where there's a lot of options in an offense. You can copy and paste that to Chris Godwin as well, because we've been sitting here hyping up Mike Evans and he's been the guy, and everybody else has fallen by the wayside. Chris Godwin really hasn't shown the type of upside that he did in 2024 before the leg injury. Emeka Egbuka hasn't looked the same since like week 6. He's been an afterthought in that offense, and now they're working Jalen McMillan, into that offense more in the rotation than Emeka Egbuka. So like, it's really difficult for me to want to trust Godwin.
Yeah.
What I do know is that Indy is going to throw the football. Plain and simple.
Yeah, they're going to have to.
Yeah, right. So Andrea, for me, this boils down to, and I feel like you're going to know the answer to this come Sunday morning. it's going to boil down to, do I need a safe floor or do I need to aim for upside? Because we've got 3 Thursday games.
Yep.
We've got 2 Saturday games.
Yep.
And the Colts play Sunday. So if your opponent has any of those Thursday, Saturday matchups, maybe you have some of those, Thursday, Saturday players. If you find yourself down big, you 100% need to chase the upside with Alec Pierce.
Yeah.
If you think it's even and you just need a safe floor, go to Pittman. On the flip side of that, maybe you got some rock solid performances and you just need a solid, 10, 12 points. Go with Pittman because there's touchdown upside because he is the number 1 option in that offense.
Yeah.
If you find yourself that your guys shit the bed because they were getting thrown the football by 3rd string quarterbacks, chase your upside with Alec Pierce.
Yep. I think that's fair. I'll throw one other layer in there. If it's Phillip Rivers, Pierce is a part of this discussion. If it happens to be Riley Leonard, it's Pittman no matter what. I'm not trusting him to push the ball down the field.
I would agree with that.
Good Fen Faith jumps in, wanted to give Josh shit, but she says, you know what? He is the Grinch. And then I could just get also hi Ryan, even though I got the thank you in the chat today. So
yeah,
I
exactly.
guess it all balances out.
Mm-hmm.
Fighting solves everything. Tyler Warren or Dalton Schultz. As I mentioned, I don't love Tyler Warren this week, so I would go with a more stable tight end, and that is certainly Dalton Schultz. I have him ahead this week. I would go Dalton Schultz here.
Yeah, I'm going Dalton Schultz as well. I don't love the matchup really for either of them. I think Schultz, as of late, has been more involved in the offense.
I'm going to quickly just throw Sick 50 up here. First of all, love the logo. Second of all, Phillip Rivers was named the starter, so that helps answer some of those questions, which comes back to what I was going to say with Tyler Warren, where I would be worried. So I'm less worried about Tyler Warren. I'm still going Dalton Schultz. So thank you for that, Slick 50. Drone. Back to the Bo Nix Tyler Shuck question from earlier. Does it matter that his opponent has Cortland Sutton? Nope. That's overthinking it. You need to play the better play this week, and that is Bo Nix against a depleted Kansas City Chiefs team. So.
Correct.
Tyler Sperry, first time back on the show for a while, I feel like. Welcome. Kaimi Fairbairn or Brandon Aubrey.
We answered that. I said Fairbairn. So
I said it's very hard for me to say anybody but Brandon Aubrey, but Josh makes a great case for Kaimi Fairbairn that they're terrible in the red zone, and it should be there's a chance Dallas just scores all touchdowns this week, and that's a problem for you.
I was going to say, Houston should have obliterated the Raiders off defense, and CJ Stroud threw 1 touchdown.
Yep. Schultz, Strange, or Tongas. We got this question as well as Tyler, so you're in a similar situation to some of our other listeners. We are both in on Brenton Strange. Yes, He is streaky, but this is the kind of game to play him in. And then Josh in the flex, we're looking at Devonta Smith, Luther Burton, or Alec Pierce. And this is a tough question. I'm probably leaning on Devonta Smith here.
I am as well. I think this matchup against Buffalo, I think we're going to see a ton of offense from both sides.
All right. Galaxy, welcome. Houston or Steelers defense, Josh, this is still a similar situation. I do think I probably need to move Houston up a little bit, but the Steelers picking on the Browns, I would love to see TJ Watt back for sure. If he is, that makes it even better. Right now, I would go Pittsburgh if I owned both of these defenses.
I would as well. I will say it's close because Houston's, now again, I'm going off of what I fairly certain is true. I haven't looked at the actual stats. Pretty sure Houston creates more turnovers. And they generate sacks. And those turnovers now turn into touchdowns. Look at Derek Stingley from last week.
Houston, front to back, arguably is the best defense in the NFL.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Obviously,
look, it's they have the tougher matchup against Justin.
So they are actually dead even in sacks and turnovers. The only thing Pittsburgh does better, they have 19 more QB hits this season. They are equal in every other. Well, but QB hits is an indicator of QB sacks. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Their numbers are equal, though.
That works for me. Go Steelers.
Yep.
Especially if TJ Watt's back.
Yep. Robert Ryan. Great name. Half point tight end premium flex. We're looking at Breece Hall, Debo, or AJ Barner. It's a dynasty league. He is projected to win this game by quite a few points. Josh, this is a situation where I'm just going to go Breece Hall for the volume. AJ Barner, Carolina has actually been a very tough matchup for tight ends as of late. AJ Barner is streaky to begin with. I think at best you're getting 10 points for him. I think Breece Hall can probably get that on just volume alone. I'm going to go with Breece Hall.
Yeah, if you're projected to win by 34, I think you can risk going with Breece Hall in the event that he doesn't reach that upside potential and you get a floor game of like 7-8 fantasy points, because quite frankly, for most of the time, that's a ceiling play for AJ Barner.
Zach, the only thing we got is from earlier today that he did not practice today. So here's the thing. Kittle is the type of player that doesn't even need to practice. He could be called a game time decision and play. He could be called a game time decision and not play. And that's kind of the unique situation he's going to put a lot of fantasy managers in this week. So.
Correct.
Elixirs, fun fact. I forgot Elixirs was my original STD standard non-PPR league guy. With return yardage showing, Shamiri DK is a top 10 wide receiver. That is a fun fact. We talked about this a lot last week. Leads the NFL in total yards. So if you have return yardage, and Josh, I even alluded to this in my article, Shamiri DK was a fringe waiver play in a return yardage league. He's a top 10 wide receiver. Correct. And would never have been on waivers. So
yep, 100%. Love that.
Burrow, T-Law, or Jacoby Brissett. It is Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is the QB1 over the last 2 weeks. And I mean individually, QB1. And this week he gets a Colts team that just got torched by Brock Purdy. Trevor Lawrence is going to eat this week.
Yeah, it's hard to sit Burrow because, again,
he ate last week and
he's got a good matchup this week. Trevor Lawrence is on a heater right now, and you ride that heater until the wheels fall off.
And Trevor Lawrence is the only one of these quarterbacks playing for something this week as well. So there's something to that too. Yep. Lions, Eagles, Chargers. I'm going to go on not a very long limb and assume this is about defense. Josh, of this group, the Lions have the easiest matchup and a solid defense. Maybe the Lions aren't as good as the Eagles on defense. I think they're equal to or better than the Chargers, but they have the best matchup by far. So it's the Lions for me.
I would agree. Lions for me as well. Max Brosmer sucks.
Yep. So this is going to burn us, Aaron Gilliard. We did the same game last week where there were a lot of questions that involved Jacoby Brissett. And we said it's Jacoby Brissett no matter what. Guys, it's Trevor Lawrence no matter what. Trevor Lawrence is my QB1 this week. Josh talked me in to making Trevor Lawrence my QB1 this week. For me and Josh, you're not going to get a different answer. I know why you're asking this question. Brock Purdy, also red hot. There is no hotter quarterback in the NFL right now than Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, it's Trevor Lawrence. Both these guys have good matchups. There may not be a wrong answer. They were QB1 and 2 last week. It's Trevor Lawrence.
It could easily be QB1 and 2 again this week.
Yeah, correct.
And then Marks or Carter, Josh, you've kind of really brought up that this Chargers defense is not one to be ran on. I know you don't love Michael Carter, but I think I'm probably going Michael Carter. It's certainly a better matchup for him against Cincinnati. So
I would agree with that, yeah.
Alpocalypse has Gadsden give you a better option. You know what? I have my tight end rankings right in front of me. Rondé Gadsden is my 11. Here are your 10 better options. Most of them not available. Trey McBride, Harold Fannin, George Kittle. Brenton Strange is your better option. Kyle Pitts, Dallas Goedert, Jawan Johnson, Dalton Schultz, Darren Waller, and then Jake Ferguson are the 10 that I would put ahead of Rondé Gadsden. Who is available to you? Brenton Strange, Jawan Johnson, Dalton Schultz, Darren Waller. Have at it.
There you go.
But if you have Brenton Strange, if Brenton Strange is out there, go get Brenton Strange.
100%.
And guess what? Woods Girl has Brenton Strange. Hopefully you're not in that league. And Tongus, in case Kittle doesn't go. She gets that we are pro Brenton Strange. But notice, too, that Tongus had great when Kittle was out. There's no denying. Jake Tongus was a fun option when George Kittle was out. But the fact of the matter is the 49ers have a lot of options. I guess I can't say that the Jacksonville Jaguars don't. So that was about to be a really dumb statement. I don't know. I'm riding with Brenton Strange, Josh, but it's a great point here. Jake Tongus is nothing to scoff at if George Kittle.
No, he's not. He's just not going to be the kind of volume play that Kittle would be if Kittle plays, right? Like if Kittle's out, they're just going to pivot to Juwan Jennings, which they literally did that Monday night game against the Colts. They threw a couple first down targets to Tongus. He might find the end zone. He's not going to be a 4, 5, 6 catch guy. It's a 2, maybe a 3, and hopefully he gets in the end zone. Those targets are still going to stay with CMC, and they're going to shift to Juwan Jennings. Those are now going to be the top 2 guys in that offense, and that's how the offense funnels. So, no, this is 100% Brenton Strange for me.
Yep. Tyler, I see your defense question. Just bear with me a second. You didn't miss it. You were actually the next one up. But I want to throw Fighting Solves Everything here because they are absolutely right. Everything we are just now saying about Trevor Lawrence, I was saying last week about Jacoby Brissett. I will say one thing. I trifled with the Falcons defense. I am not worried about the Colts defense. I didn't have a bunch of stats last week to tell you why Jacoby Brissett was going to be good. It was just vibes. The Colts defense sucks, plain and simple.
And Trevor Lawrence smoked them 2 weeks ago.
Trevor Lawrence beat them 2 weeks ago. Brock Purdy beat them last week. There's a lot more evidence this time. I will take the L on Jacoby Brissett. That was vibes, and the vibes kicked my ass. I lost a playoff matchup because of vibes. Trevor Lawrence, there's evidence. He seems a little bit more proven, if you will, in that situation. Correct. So, but you're not wrong. Fighting solves everything. I will take the L. I was conducting that Brissett train hard, and guess what? I think Brissett's going to fucking eat this week and have all these third place people the highest score in their league because that's how it goes. Tyler's defense question. We're looking at Rams, Seahawks, and Tampa. To me, Tampa does not belong in this discussion. They may have a decent matchup. They are a terrible defense. I have the Seahawks at 4, the Rams at 5. I think they are relatively interchangeable, but my rankings say Seattle at Carolina, Josh.
Seahawks for me as well. I like the Rams, but they can get smoked. Their secondary's average. Kirk Cousins been slinging it.
Yeah.
So.
Cash, 3X4L, Michael Carter, Khalil Shakir, Chris Rodriguez. Josh, I don't love starting wide receivers against your Eagles. I think I'm just going Chris Rodriguez here. I think he's going to get a ton of run against Dallas tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, what else do they have to lose?
Exactly. They got to find out what they can do with this kid. So.
Correct. Yeah, it's Rodriguez for me. Now, I will say, with it being full PPR, I think you can definitely make the case for Carter because he's going to be involved in the passing game. They're not throwing to Rodriguez. That's Jeremy McNichols' role. So
yeah, if they throw to the running back at all. So.
Correct. Yeah. Now again, I mean, it is a third stringer veteran quarterback. He might be more willing to, but I'm still going Rodriguez.
I am as well. Brandon asked an excellent question. Travian Henderson starts. Would you play him over Mike Evans? I hate injured players, and I love Mike Evans. So for me, Josh, as much as it's ludicrous to bench Travian Henderson right now, I'm benching him for Mike Evans.
Bro, if Travian Henderson plays, he's a top 5 running back. It is Travian Henderson.
You're not wrong. And if they play him, they're going to use him. Like, there's no reason to play him if you're not going to.
Correct.
If Travian Henderson starts, you can't bench Travian Henderson. He's a 50-yard touchdown away every single time.
You find someone else to bench and you put Henderson and Evans in your lineup. Yeah. That's the right answer.
Jason, welcome. Congratulations to you. I assuming you're here because you're also in a championship. If you also want to go and hit that subscribe button, we'd very much appreciate it. Last I checked, we are 3 away from 1,800. Which is our end of season goal. So we would love for you to help us get there, Jason. We go live every single Wednesday, though we are taking next Wednesday off for New Year's Eve. But this is a 12-month out of the year show. We always have fantasy stuff going on, and our DFS content is going to run through the playoffs. You will get your money's worth because it's free if you sign up for Club Fantasy's YouTube page. Alpocalypse, how do we feel about the Jacksonville D this week? Josh, I love them. Do not care who the quarterback is. They are my defense 3, and that is only because Denver gets Kansas City and New England gets the Jets. I'm going with Jacksonville at 3. So.
I was going to say San Francisco's defense is massively overrated, and they did pretty damn well against Indianapolis. So
yeah,
Jacksonville's going to be fine. Not worried about them one bit.
These are the kind of questions I hate answering because I'm going to be wrong. If Henderson sits, is it Mondre or Bucky? Obviously, Bucky has been just a bucket of disappointment over the last few weeks, Josh. If I knew Travian Henderson is out, I think I would. I mean, Miami's a good matchup. I think I would go with Ron J. Stevenson if I knew Travian Henderson was out.
Lord, fantasy gods, forgive me. It's from Andre Stevenson.
Yeah. And it's only if Henderson's out. Let's be very clear there.
Correct.
But the Jets are just such a good matchup.
Well, and for all the volume that Bucky's getting, he's losing carries inside the 5.
And Mondre, to Sean Tucker, and he's still losing passing down work to Rashad White, whereas Mondre is going to be next to the whole offense and found the end zone last week. So, James Hernandez, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex. So let's start with the running backs. Josh, he has Bucky, Irving, ETN, and Kyron. Whew, those are
and Harvey.
Champagne problems right there. Who else did I miss?
Harvey.
I thought I said Bucky Harvey. I might have said Bucky Irving. So Irving, Harvey, ETN, Kyron. I think I'm going to probably be flexing one of these guys, but for this start, Josh, I'm going Travis Etienne and RJ Harvey. No. Yes. No.
I'm still going Kieran.
Yeah. I'm going to go Etienne and Kieran
for me.
Yep.
And I'm probably flexing Harvey, honestly. So
yeah, probably. Then at wide receiver, he has J. Jeff, who you cannot play. JMO, Evans, Waddle. We need to start 2 of these guys. I am going to go Jameson and Mike Evans.
Yeah, that's where I would go as well.
And then I'm flexing.
Waddle did okay last week.
I'm not
with yours.
Completely afraid of Waddle.
Yeah, he had 12 fantasy points, I think. I just don't trust the touchdown upside because they're using Devon Achane so much. Jefferson, I don't see the upside. I really don't. And that's really what it boils down to for me. So it's JMO, Evans, Harvey, ETN, Kieran. That's where I would go.
All right, I'm with you on that. Let's see here. We got Not Frost. We got Frosty and Not Frost in the chat. Hopefully you two aren't facing each other. AJ Brown versus Chris Olave in the
Oh, God.
You got to start both these guys.
Right? I want to know who you're sitting or who else you're starting to sit one of these guys. Fuck. Look, you can't sit Chris Olave. You just can't.
It's impossible. And there's always those games where AJ Brown just shrinks. You have to consider that. You can't sit Chris Olave, plain and simple.
No, you can't. I mean, it's a baller matchup. He is the number 1 option. There's not a true number 2 there. AJ Brown still has Devonta Smith. So it's Chris Olave.
All right, guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Keep dropping those questions. If you want to jump the line, we do offer Super Chat. We also have a Discord if you want to ask questions when the shows are over. Link is in the description of this video. We will be right back to the chat in just a second as we get to our downside section. As I mentioned, in upside, we do big swings. In downside, we try to tell you the players who we don't think are going to be good with some bold predictions. Josh, you got one about Terry McLaurin finishing outside the top 30. And then Colston Loveland not being a top 12 tight end this week. Have at it, my friend.
Yeah, I'll start with Terry McLaurin. Consensus has him at wide receiver 16. Look, I get it. It's a great matchup. Dallas' secondary's ass. But you also have to factor in who's throwing him the football. They ruled out Marcus Mariota this week. They're going to be starting 39-year-old journeyman quarterback Josh Johnson, who has not started an NFL game since 2021. 4 years. And he's not Phillip Rivers, people. This is not somebody that actually had a storied NFL career. He's played literally for half the teams in the NFL. That's how much this guy has gotten around. He is the definition of the traveling pants, people. So, when you talk about what he's done over, since those starts in 2021, it's been spot duty over the last 4 seasons. He's completing 57.1% of those passes. He's thrown for a grand total of 70 yards and is averaging 5 yards per attempt. No touchdowns, 1 interception. This is a guy that is playing for a paycheck and to keep his health insurance. That's literally what he's doing right now.
Yeah.
Just don't stop. I get the matchup. I get it. Do you really want to bet your championship that Terry McLaurin is going to do Terry McLaurin things with a 39-year-old journeyman quarterback? It's the same reason why you shouldn't be starting Justin Jefferson with Max Brosmer at quarterback.
Correct.
And then on the flip side, Colston Loveland is the consensus tight end 7. Hey, guess what happened last week when he had a damn good matchup and nobody else in the pecking order for the Bears because Luther Burden and Rome Odunze were out? 6 fantasy points. If you somehow survived the Colston Loveland trap game, why in God's name would you trust them this week? Sure, it's a good matchup. You can throw on San Francisco. They do not cover tight ends very well at all. At all. But there's no consistency from Ben Johnson when it comes to actually targeting Colston Loveland. He is the definition of a boom or bust tight end. You can find better streaming options. You can find Brenton Strange.
Yeah.
I would take Hunter Henry this week against the fucking Jets.
It's the Jets.
Juwan Johnson. I would even start Mike Gesicki over Colston Loveland. you should be willing to do the same thing too. Do not get fooled by the fact that he was a top 10 draft pick. Truthfully, he's had one good game all season. That's it.
Yeah.
He's had one good game. I get it. The upside is 1,000% there. We've seen it once this season. That's it. Yeah. He's the Trey Tucker of tight ends right now.
He had one game.
Just saying.
Don't get fooled from a game 6 weeks ago. As I predict 2 touchdowns every week, I also predict no touchdowns every week. And I'm way better at predicting no touchdowns than I am the 2 touchdowns. And I'm going to pick once again on the Cincinnati Bengals. And by that, I mean, I'm going to give them their props. Cincinnati is now a bottom 5 team when it comes to wide receiver points allowed, fantasy points allowed to wide receivers. So this whole image in our head about them not playing any defense, they have tightened up against wide receivers. Over their last 4 games, it's actually the second fewest fantasy points. And since their bye week, they have only allowed 2 wide receiver touchdowns, which is why Michael Wilson will not score a lucky touchdown and find the end zone again this week. If anything, you're hoping for Trey McBride and maybe even Michael Carter. But the one that I knew was going to get me in trouble, and I didn't know how much trouble it was going to get me into until Josh talked earlier in the show, because I didn't realize the game history in this. I am calling, and this is not a big thing, but I think we need to temper expectations. Josh Allen will not be a top 5 fantasy quarterback this week against Philadelphia. He let you down last week. I don't think it's going to be quite as bad as last week. And no, I have no streaming quarterbacks ahead of Josh Allen. I'm still playing him over Brock Purdy. I'm still playing him over Jacoby Brissett. I'm still playing him over Tyler Shuck. I just want everybody to think that this may not go the way you think it's going to. He's dealing with a foot and ankle injury, and you're taking on a linebacking core that can keep him in check. The Eagles defense is playing so well in the part of the field where you need to stop Josh Allen. They have James Cook. I think they're going to lean more on him. Over the last month, Philly is giving up the second fewest fantasy points to quarterbacks, and only one quarterback has scored 20 fantasy points on Philly since week 6. They are keeping everybody in check, and I don't believe Josh Allen is going to be any different, Josh. I know you, like you said, the game history is these guys eat against each other. At least they did the last time. For me, I'm not moving away from Josh Allen. I'm just saying you may need to start your big swings elsewhere in your lineup.
Yeah, I mean, you're not sitting Josh Allen. But again, I mean, you have him just outside the top 5. That's still a QB1.
Yep.
My only pushback on those stats, the last 2 weeks, they played Kenny Pickett and Marcus Mariota.
That I went back further than just the last.
I know you did. I know you did. You know, Caleb Williams 154 and a touchdown, still not great. Dak obviously did Dak things. They were playing at home. They held Jared Goff in check. They held Jordan Love in check. Jackson Dart did phenomenal, especially for a rookie. They beat up on Carson Wentz, although Carson Wentz still threw 300 yards and 2 interceptions. But none of these guys are Josh Allen, is the long and short of it. So I don't think you're far-fetched saying he's not top 5. Just don't get too fooled by the Philly stats, because they have played some bad quarterbacks.
They've played some bad quarterbacks. All right, that wraps up the downside section. Let's get back to the chat before we do stream of the week and get out of here for Christmas. Jason wants to know who he should flex in his league. We got Rico Dowdle, Deebo Samuel. It's not Taysom Hill. Dylan Sampson. Feels like it could be Sampson as a sneaky play. He's saying 5 receptions minimum. I actually don't like Rico Dowdle this week either, Josh, but of all of these guys, he feels the safest option. It is PPR. I'm going to say I don't know the order of these games, but I think both are on Sunday. If Sampson's active, I'm okay with probably going Sampson over Dowdle. Josh, this is kind of what you talked about before. There will be 5 games played before you need to make this decision. If you need safe, go with Dowdle. If you need upside, go with Sampson.
That's words out of my mouth. Okay.
We've been doing the show together. George just wanted to say Merry Christmas. No questions this week, George.
You,
always appreciate you riding with us. Alpocalypse. I'm going to read these as if they're out. So, because someone else said the same thing. They're like, Jacobs is out. And I'm like, I don't think he is. Assuming Hendo
Unless
is out.
they just announced something.
They didn't. I just looked, so.
You said they did or didn't?
Did not. Jacobs is definitely in. So I don't know where we're seeing here. I think they're just giving us speculation. Hendo is out. Jacobs is out. Are we going Ramondre or Wilson? If both are out, one of these guys is playing the Jets. I'm going with Ramondre Stevenson.
Correct.
You just Can't pass that up.
Yeah, no.
Fighting Solves Everything says he's going to trust us because he has to beat the guy in his league because he's a tool. I have some friends.
Love it.
I have some friends in my home league I feel the exact same way about. I totally get it. And we'll be here not next week, but the week after, though. We'll have our Monday reaction show if you want to.
I was going to say, come join us on Monday morning. Vent with us or tell us that we knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, tell us we're assholes or tell us we helped you. Yeah. This was the question about Olave or AJ Brown. He has Pickens and Jamar Chase. So I think you're making the right choice.
Yep, you're making the right choice. Go AJ Brown. Or excuse me, Chris Olave. You're sitting AJ Brown.
Caesar, 1 running back, 3 flex spots. So Josh, we got Hall, Ramondre, Rico to get this thing started. Without knowing if Travion Henderson, even if Travion Henderson's in, I think I'm going Ramondre. Patriots can get beat by the run. I just don't know how much they're going to run Breece Hall.
Yeah, and they really have not been throwing to him at all. So, oh, God. I mean, if Henderson plays, I'll start Hall. Otherwise, I'll go Ramondre.
Okay.
Problem is that I don't love Rico as a flex option. I think his floor is so incredibly low.
Yeah, I think I'm going Waddle and Moore as my first 2 flex for sure.
And then it just boils down to, do you trust London in the knee or
Hall in the shitty offense?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So, yeah, I'd probably go Hall. Oh, crap. Hall, Waddle, and Moore in the flex if Henderson is out. And then I would put Ramondre as the RB1.
Yep.
If Henderson does play, I'll pivot to Rico.
There we go.
That's how I would do it because I really don't trust London this week.
Back to Jason. Second league, 3 flex spots. It is points per carry. And then it's 15 yards to get points otherwise. So DJ Moore, Ramondre Stevenson, George Kittle, Wan'Dale Robinson, Kyle Pitts, Chris Godwin, Romeo Doubs. Have to have 3 of them. Points per carry, again, I'm going Ramondre Stevenson, and I don't care if Travion's playing. It's not tight end premium. If Kittle's healthy, you have to play George Kittle. So that Correct. And then we'll give you a 4th option here.
Well, if Kittle's out, you pivot, you play Pitts. He's got a good ceiling this week.
Yeah. And then it's down to DJ Moore or Wan'Dale Robinson. It is full PPR.
I will say I like Jackson Dart this week. I think it's going to be a big Tyrone Tracy week this week.
Okay.
Against the Raiders. I really do. Because I'm literally waffling with that decision in the Club Dynasty AF League where because I'm down to just 1 quarterback. So I'm basically putting a skill player in my super flex spot. And I'm looking at Wan'Dale versus Tracy versus DJ Moore. And I feel like because DJ Moore popped this past week, we're going to get Luther Burden back, potentially Rome Dunze back. And I don't think we're going to get a 3rd pop week for DJ Moore.
Makes a lot of sense.
I've also does Breece Hall come into the equation? And I just don't trust that. And the way that they've been riding Tyrone Tracy lately, it makes me feel like that he's probably the right guy there, which will ultimately limit Wan'Dale's ceiling, even in a PPR league. I don't hate Romeo Doubs this week either.
Had a good week last week. I just don't know that with Malik Willis at quarterback, I'm looking to roll him out there.
Yeah, I mean, and that really plays into it. There's a lot of health concerns here, which really fucking sucks, quite honestly. I mean, the way they're using Kyle Pitts, they're kind of treating him like a wide receiver, so I don't mind doing that in this type of format anyway.
That's kind of what I was thinking too.
So even if you have to go Kittle and Pitts, then you ride
probably
with
better
Ramondre.
than DJ Moore and Wan'Dale Robinson. So.
Yeah, right. So yeah, that's probably where I would go. If Henderson is out and Kittle plays, you go Stevenson, Kittle, Pitts.
Yeah.
If Henderson plays, Kittle's out. Same situation. I'll probably pivot to DJ Moore. Yeah, there's so many questions here.
I'm playing Ramondre Stevenson no matter what. Okay. It's 0.25 per carry.
But it's 1 point per 15 yards. And I think that does play a little bit into it.
Well, that plays. The only person who benefits from that in this whole group is George Kittle.
That's fair.
Because he's the one who has the biggest yardage potential. So
that's fair.
My home league is 1 point per 15. So
okay.
Tingley. Can we trust Terry McLaurin?
Nope.
So your options are all of these, I guess.
Yeah,
Pierce,
it's
Downs,
the wide receiver. He's just naming the quarterbacks. Okay, so Pierce, Downs, Higgins, Noel, or Trey Tucker, Hollins, but definitely not Pierce. I doubt he plays. Zacchaeus.
Oh no, it's Mac Hollins. I'm fully in on this Mac Hollins thing.
Okay.
I just need to know which Patriots wide receivers are going to miss this game, but I believe Kayshon Boutte is going to miss, and it's Mac Hollins for me of this whole group.
Yeah, Boutte's out. I'm firing up Mac Hollins 100%. I mean, if you really need a desperation, and Alec Pierce, we kind of talked about that a little earlier in the show. They talked up Jaden Higgins in the press conference after the game. I mean, he's the team's wide receiver 2 and saw 0 targets this past week. Exactly. And even Nick Caley was like, yeah, that it, just kind of that's how it happened. But usually the squeaky wheel gets the grease kind of narrative. But even then, like Higgins hasn't been like a high target earner. So don't really love that. But yeah, if Kayshon Boutte gets ruled out, it's Mac Hollins.
I think Mac Hollins has a surprisingly good week. Hood clause. If Jacobs is out, he has Emmanuel Wilson. Will we start Wilson over Swift?
Absolutely not. It's Swift.
Yeah, you got to go with Swift. The way that Bears running back, our Bears offense is through their running backs, plain and simple. So, Brennan, 2 major debates at quarter. Oh, okay. So this is just letting us know the questions who are coming. Quarterback, Trevor Lawrence versus Jacoby Brissett versus Caleb Williams. Brennan, I only laugh because this has been the question of the show. We believe that Trevor Lawrence is the number 1 QB in fantasy this week, so we are going Trevor Lawrence. At flex, it's Tony Pollard, QJ, or Troy Franklin. So we're eliminating Troy Franklin from this question right away, even in that plus matchup, I think. So,
it's not Pollard. Not feeling that matchup.
Well, and then I could also make an excuse that it's not QJ because I just don't see him popping 2 weeks.
That's what I'm saying. I think it is
Troy Franklin.
Yeah, I think it is Troy Franklin, honestly. I do think the floor is a little lower just because they don't use him for high volume in the sense of like downfield targets. They keep him, well within the line of scrimmage range, like 0 to 10. But this is a game. I'm telling you, Sean Payton is running up that score. This is going to be a 40 to 15 kind of game.
And we all know those Denver touchdowns can come from anybody, and it's just as likely to be Troy Franklin.
I'm perfectly fine going with Trevor Lawrence and Troy Franklin this week.
Michael Goldfeld, Michael Wilson, or Jacoby Myers. I'm obviously a huge Jacoby Myers guy, and I actually don't think Michael Wilson finds the end zone this week. It is a good matchup for Wilson. I'm still going Jacoby Myers because I love Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I'm going Jacoby Myers here as well. I like Michael Wilson. I don't know that I'd go so far as say he doesn't score a touchdown, but things just get really dicey for him when Marvin Harrison Jr. plays. And I know that Marvin Harrison was a little off this past week. I'm just kind of chalking that up to, first week back. If he gets more involved this week, Michael Wilson has 5 targets and, 3 catches. So, yeah. And I think that severely limits his ceiling.
Orlando Blitz, full PPR, needs a running back, a wide receiver, and 2 flex. At running back, he has all the backups we've been talking about. Blake Corum, Michael Carter, Emmanuel Wilson, Josh.
All right, 1 running back. Probably going Corum.
I'm going Corum.
Yep. 1 wide receiver, BTJ, DJ Moore, Franklin. It's JMO for me.
It's JMO.
And then I'm probably sticking at the wide receiver position. I'll go BTJ and I kind of want to say Franklin over DJ Moore.
I'm going BTJ and DJ Moore. So really, I think your decision here, Alenda, comes down to DJ Moore or Troy Franklin. Josh and I agree.
Yeah, it depends how much you trust. I think if Luther Burden's back, I don't trust DJ Moore. That's what I would say.
Yep. All right, folks, I'm going to put you guys on a quick hold. I'm going to knock out stream of the week, and then we are going to finish up the show with a couple of props for tomorrow night and the rest of your questions. So if you haven't tuned in for my stream of the week, I give you players that are available in 50% of ESPN leagues after waivers. I have had a great season. I had a monster week 15, and then I fell flat on my face in week 17. I just want to start off by apologizing. Or 16, sorry. Yep. Week 17 is going to be better. Fell flat on my face in week 16. Jacoby Brissett let me down. Colby Parkinson let me down. I owe you guys an apology. The Saints defense was the number 1 defense in all of fantasy last week. It's a small victory, but again, my apologies. Now let's get into this week. Week 17 streams of the week, all available in about 50% of ESPN leagues. We are going with the rookie, Tyler Shugg, taking on the Tennessee Titans. Shugg had his first 300-yard game last week, but he also had a touchdown stolen by Taysom Hill. Could have been a really big week for him, and I think he makes up for that against a Tennessee team that has allowed 9 touchdowns in their last 3 games before they got a chance to beat up on an ugly Kansas City team last week. At tight end, we're going with Brenton Strange against the Colts. The Colts have just been getting torched by tight ends, including George Kittle, who had 117 yards and a touchdown in 3 quarters last week. And they've actually given up multiple big tight end games since week 6. Strange has been seeing good, not great volume. I think 50 yards and a touchdown might be his floor this week. I'm loving that at a streaming tight end. And on defense, we are running it back with the New Orleans Saints, who do get Tennessee. They have improved, but they're still giving up a ton of sacks. This is the Cam Jordan retirement tour, and I think he's going to get after the quarterback this week yet again. Sacks lead to turnovers, which are good things for defense. This is it. Your championship's on the line. Are you going to stream anybody, or are you sticking with your studs? Let us know in the comments. Full article will be available right when this show ends.
I like it. And you know what? We've featured Cam Jordan as the graphic on the stream of the week, the player. So
I love it.
You know what? I'm with it.
All right. Back to the chat before we get to some props. Do we have any leanings on Kittle? I'm going to be honest. I have not studied this situation enough. I don't have any Kittle in any of my teams that are alive. He did not practice today. What I will say is the 49ers need to win, and Kittle, they're going to call him a game time decision. And Josh, he's one of the few players where I believe it is a game time decision. So,
not a doctor, did not stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. I don't have any feelings until somebody tells me whether he plays or doesn't play.
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
Have a contingency plan just in case. That's what I always tell people.
I feel like this might be the new defensive question of the week because it's been these teams all along. Giants, Eagles, Lions. The Lions get Max Brosmer. So for me, Josh, it is the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, I do like the Giants. I do. I think they can beat up on Geno Smith. They can beat up on that putrid Raiders offense, which got even worse with Brock Bowers heading to IR. I'm still going to go the Lions.
Yeah. Do we think Drake May is capable of a 20-point game this week, Josh? I 100% believe he is.
It's the fucking Jets. Of course he is.
Yep. And they need a win. And then Eddie Pinheiro or Kaimi Fairbairn, you're not benching Kaimi Fairbairn, plain and simple. So.
No, it's Fairbairn. I'm assuming it's Fairbairn. I don't know if there's a kicker named Fairbanks.
There's not. Okay. That's autocorrect.
Autocorrect. Sorry, Jason.
Yep. If no Kittle, are we replacing him with Jelon, Loveland, or Strange? To me, Josh, it's Strange. I think Strange is the floor and ceiling play this week.
I was going to say I like Jawan Johnson as well, but it's Strange.
Smitty asking Javonte Williams or Aaron Jones. Josh, you laid out a great case for Javonte Williams earlier in the show, and I think that puts him well ahead of Aaron Jones this week.
Yeah, I'm all in on Javonte Williams this week against that awful Washington Commanders run defense.
And then Smitty gets the puke question of the week at tight end. Colston Loveland or Taysom Hill? Josh, I would go Taysom Hill in this situation.
Really?
I don't love Colston Loveland this week. I'll tell you.
I don't love Colston Loveland either. But when you look at floors, Taysom Hill's floor is 0.
Taysom Hill's floor is absolutely 0, and Loveland's floor is 5 fantasy points. There is a 5-point difference in their floor. There's no denying that.
We've seen Loveland's upside, and again, this is a matchup that definitely lends itself to upside. Yeah. San Francisco has struggled against the tight end, especially over the last 6 weeks of the season. Taysom Hill, I feel like people are on this bandwagon because he threw a touchdown this past week.
It's 100% what it is.
And that's not happening every week. It's just not going to happen. So we know Taysom Hill's upside. We've seen him drop 40 burgers. When does that happen? When we're not expecting it to happen.
Yeah. Not when you're
now that everybody's on the bandwagon, he's going to get you 1.2 fantasy points.
That's fair.
It's Colston Loveland for me.
Smitty says, damn, this is the tight end situation for the ship. You tell me there's nobody on waivers, my guy? You cannot.
Come on, bro. There's got to be somebody else, man.
Let me tell you just where this stands, Smitty, just to continue busting your balls right now. Taysom Hill is my tight end 18. Colston Loveland is my tight end 21 as it stands. So I guarantee you, Mike Gesicki, Hunter Henry, Michael Mayer, who is starting for the Raiders this week, Theo Johnson, Arondé Gadsden, Darren Waller. One of those guys is out there, my guy. Go find a better tight end. I'm not going to be honest with you. You have better options. Jacob the Snake Merry Christmas. Thanks for tuning in. Need some help this week. Diggs or Jennings? Josh, to me, and then it's Lawrence or Purdy, the question of the week. To me, these are very easily Jennings and Trevor Lawrence, and it's not even a big question for me. Though we've outlined why I get the Brock Purdy thing. We just love Trevor Lawrence this week.
Yeah, no, love Purdy this week. Love Lawrence more. I'm perfectly fine with Jennings. Now, here's another situation. If Kittle is out, how would you feel about stacking Purdy and Jennings? Because that actually is pretty damn appealing. Not going to lie.
I'm going to tell you, I'm not mad at Brock Purdy this week whatsoever. My little brother is in a league. He's in a chopped league. And he has Josh Allen. He's worried about the foot injury. I don't know that I'm against starting Brock Purdy even over Josh Allen. We've talked about that, Josh, and I even made the joke that I wouldn't, which is going to come up on the next question. A nice, healthy stack against the game that they should run up the score. You need to win the championship. Yeah. Josh, this might be a situation where how big are you up or down coming out of those Saturday games?
And that's the thing is like, you know, for some people that are trying to just set their lineups like this week, or this day when you've got Thursday matchups, when you've got Saturday games, like,
and this seems like a great time.
You need to remain fluid. You need to look at your Thursday matchups, put them not in your flex, but in your starting positions.
Literally what I was.
That's what you do. And then you say, all right, what was the result? How does my opponent look at this, right? Did they get Puka Nakua like last week where a motherfucker drops 40 points on a Thursday night? And then you say, well, fuck. I got to shoot for some major upside. So then I'm looking at, all right, who's getting me that upside? Diggs has a great matchup. Jennings is on a heater right now. I'm pivoting to Jennings in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Because Diggs can very easily only get you 3 for 30. Jennings might get you 3 for 32. He's scoring 2 touchdowns. That's the difference. Because the Niners funnel their offense through 3 guys, and that's it. Like, they're not spreading the football around to 15 different wide receivers.
All right, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to pop this question up. We are going to do our props, and then we're going to do a speed round because I'm not going over an hour and a half on Christmas Eve. So Michael Godey asked for our questions on Josh Allen. And Josh, we're kind of 2 minds here. I am worried about the injury. I am worried about the Eagles defense. My take is that he will not be a top 5 quarterback this week, but you're not benching him for any weird fringe guys.
Yeah, I mean, if it's Tyler Shuck or Josh Allen, no, I'm going Josh Allen, you know. If it's Trevor Lawrence or Brock Purdy over Josh Allen, I'm fine pivoting to one of them. But here's the thing. Go back to, where's the timestamp? It is the 18-minute, 38-second mark. That's when I go out and I outline the game of the week, which my game of the week is the Eagles and Bills. Josh Allen, outside of the Buffalo Bills, has beaten every single team except the Philadelphia Eagles. The last time these 2 teams played, it was 37-34, and Josh Allen put on a fucking show. 420 and 4 total touchdowns. Jalen Hurts scored 5 touchdowns in that game.
Yeah, it definitely had me.
Both these teams have something to play for. Josh Allen will show up. And I understand the ankle injury is a question. Dude's a baller. Like, I'm not worried too much about that, honestly.
There we go. Josh, go ahead and put the WAF banner up for me. If you guys have never played on Underdog, I highly recommend it. And if you use promo code WOFF, WOFF, that is our partnership with Women of Fantasy Football, you get a free pick and a first-time deposit match up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Josh and I go through the Thursday game every week and give you 1 prop on our Wednesday show. But guess what? There's 3 Thursday games this week. So Josh, let's go game by game, and we always go on opposite sides of the thing. So starting with Dallas and Washington, what do you got there?
I'm going Javonte Williams higher than 84.5 rushing and receiving yards. Look, he's only hit this line in 3 of his last 8 games, but it's a plus matchup. Washington is terrible against running backs. There's no playoff game on the horizon. I don't see a need for this team to throw the ball 50 times a game. Javonte Williams has 6 of his last 7 with over 15 touches.
Yeah.
So, like, they're still feeding him the football. This is a game where he can take advantage of that. I go with the rushing plus receiving just for the simple fact that he is used as a pass catcher. It's been very sporadic over the past month, but he is used in that role. And I would not be surprised one bit if they actually do some dump offs to him, especially with the way that they've been neglecting Jake Ferguson of late.
Yeah. I'm going all 3 of my picks. Well, my first 2 picks are weird. I'm going with Treylon Burks over 20.5 receiving yards. Yes.
Higher. It's Underdog.
Higher. Sorry. than 20.5 receiving yards. Yes, Treylon Burks plays for the Washington Commanders. I think we are looking at a backup connection between he and Josh Johnson this week. I think there's a chance Washington doesn't play McLaurin and Deebo Samuel the whole game. Treylon Burks led the team in targets last week, and I believe ended up with 30 yards in that game. He needs 10 fewer than that to hit this over, and I think there's a good chance he leads the team in receiving again this week. Treylon Burks higher than 20.5 receiving yards.
Even with the shoddy quarterback play. I don't mind it too much because
that's one catch.
Yeah, literally for Treylon Burks, it's one catch. Or It could be 3 for 20, quite honestly. Because again, I don't see Josh Johnson pushing the ball down the field much, but Treylon Burks, much like Deebo Samuel, it's the yards after catch. So
exactly
100%. I'm all about it.
We got Minnesota and Detroit. And Josh, I went for another weird one here. Anthony Firkser led the tight ends in targets last week. If you're not aware, Sam Laporta and Brock Wright are out. So they are splitting time between Shane Zylstra and Anthony Firkser. I liked what I saw more out of Firkser. He was very scrappy last week. His over-under is only 11.5 yards. So I'm going higher than 11.5 receiving yards for Detroit's starting tight end, Anthony Firkser, against the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, for me, I'm going Max Brosmer lower than 181.5 passing yards. I don't love taking lowers or unders, however you want to phrase it, because they always fucking burn me. It never fails. I took Juwan Jennings on Monday's show. Kittle's injury fucked me so hard. It dude ended up with 60. Hate it. Anyway, Brosmer is just a terrible quarterback. Let's be honest here. He had 126 passing yards in his only other start this year as a rookie undrafted free agent. I get it. Detroit secondary is depleted. They're starting Walmart grocery baggers right now, insurance salesmen, whatever you want to say. They still have Aiden Hutchinson. And when you get pressure on a young quarterback, he's going to struggle. That's exactly what Seattle did. And Brosmer threw 4 interceptions. I also would take the over on his interceptions, but it just wasn't very good money. So,
and then the final game of the night is that terrible Denver-Kansas City matchup. But Josh, you found a higher you liked here on the Kansas City side that I forced you into. So.
Yeah, because fuck you first off for giving me the Chiefs in this match.
Oh, I 100% got those two in to make sure you had a pick from Minnesota and Kansas.
And especially the player that I picked because I hate Isaiah Pacheco. But you know what? He was used quite a bit this past week against Tennessee. So I'm going higher than 50.5 rushing and receiving yards. Look, he's the beneficiary of a third string quarterback, plain and simple. The first time since week 13 that Pacheco even saw a target, and he had 41 receiving yards on 6 catches. They used him quite a bit. There's literally no incentive for the Chiefs to play Kareem Hunt right now. He's a 30-something-year-old running back. Isaiah Pacheco right now is playing for a contract next year. And seeing as how the season has been really up and down for the former 7th-round pick, coming off of that leg injury that he suffered last year, I think that the Chiefs kind of need to see him in a full-time role over these next 2 games because they need to see how healthy he is. Because that's ultimately going to determine if he plays a role in their 2026 season and beyond. But this line is basically 25 rushing and 25 receiving. That's an easy line for him to hit if he sees the bulk of the touches, which I do believe he will. And I don't think this is a game for the Broncos where they're going to completely shut down the Chiefs, a la the Eagles shutting down the Raiders and only getting 75 total yards. I think Pacheco can hit this line.
And I do think this is a game, though, where the Broncos beat down the Chiefs, and that is going to lend it to them giving their rookie running back the ball quite a bit, certainly in the second half of this game. So I'm going with R.J. Harvey higher than 54.5 yards. I'm not saying they're going to shut him to 75 yards, Josh, but I think it's going to be a game where Denver is just running out the clock, certainly in the fourth quarter, if not the rest of the game. R.J. Harvey has come on as a runner over the last month. He looked great last week, even after a rough first quarter. I think he gets fed again this week, and Denver getting him over 55 rushing yards should not be a problem.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
All right. Speed round. If you want to go ahead and kill that banner for me real quick, Josh. And then I will get us back to the chat that I have completely ruined here. Here we go. Now I got where I want to be. So, guys, we're going to probably be pretty quick with these questions because it is Christmas Eve, and I am ready to get the hell out of here. Not Frost. Would we go Fairbairn over Aubrey? I'm going to be honest, Josh. You talked me into it. I am going Fairbairn over Aubrey.
Oh, it took 90 minutes.
There you go. I'll even adjust it in my rankings when the show's over. What about Mike Gesicki for your tight ends? Yes, I like Mike Gesicki,
especially over Loveland and Taysom Hill. Yes, 100%.
Yep. Woods Girl, Diggs, Devonta, Mike Evans, pick 2.
You're sitting Diggs.
I think you're sitting Diggs. I think the Patriots may be sitting Diggs, to be perfectly honest. Smitty, if DK is out, would we consider a Pittsburgh tight end? I'm
considering Kenny Gainwell.
Yeah, I was going to say, that offense runs through Gainwell. Dak or Jalen Hurts? I really like Jalen Hurts this week, Josh. I'm picking him over Dak. I think I have Hurts at 3, Dak at 8, maybe.
Dak's on the road. It's Jalen Hurts.
There you go.
Hurts, you can play Hurts wherever. It doesn't matter whether he's home or on the road. With Dak, he doesn't always do as well on the road. So
yeah. Michael Goldfeld says when he sees Josh Allen has a tough game, he feels like it's going to be a monster game. You're not wrong. I just didn't like how he shrunk last week a little bit. And then he says his opponent's playing Chris Rodriguez. Should you be scared? No one should ever be scared of.
I was going to say it's Chris Rodriguez. That is not a fearful man. I'm sorry.
Yeah. All right, folks. That wraps up the Christmas Eve episode. For the first time in a long time, we are not. No, AJ Parner is a tough matchup, Smitty. You're not playing him either. For the first time in a long time, we are not going to be on in a Wednesday in December. We are
the first NPI we've missed since 2023.
Yeah, because we've been going on for Thanksgiving. So, 104 straight Wednesdays. We are taking one off. Josh has to work. Joe's traveling, and I'm not doing the show by myself for a Week 18 game, plain and simple. So, no show next Wednesday. However, my DFS show will drop Friday morning with me and Austin. We have the Christmas DFS slate up on the website right now if you guys are looking to play any Christmas DFS. While there's no punt intended next week, we will have our Monday reaction show. And my DFS show will still be on. So you're still going to see us a couple of times next week. We do have another show this upcoming Saturday. We call it Start Sit Different Day, where we spend an hour just answering start sit questions. There's no real show sheet. We are here for you. It's on Saturday, which is going to be a very important day for fantasy this week. So come back to us on Saturday.
Yeah, that one's probably going to be a 2-hour Saturday show. Not even.
Yeah, I have a feeling that'll be the long one for me.
And then the following Saturday, because it's Week 18, it's our airing of the fantasy grievances. So you can come in and bitch and complain about the players that let you down, that cost you matchups, that cost you a championship. It's our vent session.
Yep. And I have a lot to vent about.
So do I.
All right, folks, we are getting out of here. We appreciate you. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button on Apple or Spotify. Always remember, defense wins championships, offense wins fantasy football, and we will see you in 2 weeks. Merry Christmas.